So it's all to play for still.
I think so. Do you want to bet against us?
Hello, Aston Villa fans, and welcome to For the Love of Paul McGrath podcast. And we get straight into it here because the team is out, and thankfully we're not wearing that dirty black jersey anymore. We have Martinez, Cash, Konza, Lindelof, and Digne, with Kamara and Tielemans in the holding positions. McGinn, Sancho, and Rodgers play behind Watkins. And I suppose, really, Paddy, the only kind of half of a surprise there is Jadon Sancho being in that starting 11. The subs are Marco Bizzot, Ian Matson, Pau Torres, Lamar Bogart, Andres Garcia, George Hemmings, Emi Buendia, Daniel Malin, and Jamaldine Jimo Loba. Over to you, Paddy.
Yeah, you correctly say there's very little to get upset or angry over there. I did suggest that Digne might play tonight. I thought that Malin would have started over Sancho, but it is what it is. There's obviously a reasons for that, and I look forward to seeing how they line out. Good solid team, probably arguably the best one we have available, save for Sancho, because people don't agree that he should be in there. I'm sure Buendia will be a bit disappointed. I'm sure Malin will be a bit disappointed, but that'll make them hungrier when they come in there. Big news on the bench, though, is that Pau Torres is there, which is great. Obviously, a huge bonus to have him back in there. Two young lads are there, along with Malin, Buendia, Bogart, who's still a young lad, I suppose, and Matson and Marco Bizzot. So, yeah, very hard to be angry at what's there.
I think so too. Look, I think the reason Sancho's there is because, look, they're going to be playing three at the back. They're going to play three at the back, and maybe it might be a way of stretching Tariq Mitchell or stretching Devaney and making sure that they actually are honest in their defensive work. If you have Sancho there, a ball carrier, if you have Rodgers there, a ball carrier, you're going to make sure that you're going to be working both areas of the field, specifically like if Sancho plays on the left or even if he plays on the right. I don't know. We'll see what happens. And Rodgers plays on the other side. Well, then, you're going to be able to stretch both those full backs. And also, when you've got somebody who can carry the ball, it means that a centre half, and you're playing against the back three, a centre half has to come out to meet them at some stage, or has to go wider at times, specifically if we break quickly. So again, that leaves Ollie against two as opposed to three, which, as we know, is every striker is more accustomed to playing against two as opposed to three when you're playing against a back three like that. So look, there's a lot of reasons why you would play a ball carrier and a dribbler of the ball in somebody like Sancho. His last game that he played for us, he was playing on the right hand side. Thought he did very good work defensively. Needs to now capitalize on this, and I'm going to go for a sneaky I called him Jordan Sancho. I'm going to put a sneaky fiver on Jadon Sancho goal. Do you know why? Because why not? Because Crystal Palace might just be a team that he might be able to score a goal against if Villa are going to score at all. Because we know it's not going to be easy down there.
Well, we got to be careful and not complacent, as everybody keeps reminding us they are our bogey team. We do have to be wary of them, and I'm interested to see what kind of team they put out there, which I'm sure you're tapping away in the background. And that will ultimately, it'll define how the night pans out, because we know we have a strong team. We know we've got to beat this hex and get it out of our heads. So fingers crossed that tonight is the night.
And the team that we will be up against is Henderson in goals, Devaney, Canvo, Lacroix, Guay, Mitchell, Wharton, Hughes, Brennan Johnson, Pino, and Mateta. Absolutely no surprises in that lineup for me at all whatsoever. Full stop. It's exactly the lineup that I thought we would see. On the bench, they have Walter Benitez, they've got Uche, the striker, they've Borna Souza. Chris Richards makes the bench. I didn't think he would be in there. I know that, well, actually, I did think he'd be in there because Glasner said he would be in there, but he wasn't fit enough to start. Then you've got Rodney, you've got King, you've got Benamar, you've got Casey, who is somebody that England football in general is really high on. And then you've got Drake Thomas in there as well. So look, a very, very young bench outside of Richards, Uche and Souza. They've got kids on the bench there, essentially. When I think, once again, Unai Emery subs, the fact that he can now bring on 5 subs, and those 5 subs hopefully will be as impactful as they have been during our 11-game winning streak. That is good news for us, considering that they don't have that power on the bench. And that's not to say they won't bring them on, but they don't have that that international experience to bring off the bench. And that can only be a positive, I think, for Aston Villa.
Yeah, there's very little options there to change it with Johnson starting as well. Was the one we didn't mention last night because he didn't start in the previous game. But obviously he's going to be fit and ready. It's not like he's coming in on the blind. He has had half a season under his belt with Spurs, and we know he can do damage. And look, we've got players there that can marshal him. The defensive midfield structure should be fairly sound to stand up against himself and Pino. Mateta is obviously a worry, but other than that, defensively they can be got at. Obviously they've got potentially a world-class player in Gahey who they may not have by the end of the week, but he's there, and we thought he'd be gone by the end of the week when we played on the last day, and he had an absolute stormer against us as well. So we've got to be at the top of our game, and we've got to be willing to get stuck in from the start, because the one thing I don't want to happen tonight is us to go behind, because they will make it really difficult. That back 3 will suddenly become a back 7, and we'll just be trying to beat it down and get in behind them, which will be virtually impossible. Having that back 5 with Wharton and you sitting in front of it will make it absolutely impossible. So fingers crossed.
A lot of people talking in the chat about Alisson. Why isn't he on the bench? I think Unai Emery, for Aston Villa, I think Unai Emery made that pretty clear that he wasn't going to be on the bench in the interim just now. Also, as far as I'm led to believe, he came over and he signed. Then he had to go back to Brazil again, and he's coming back to Birmingham. I think he might only be back in Birmingham like a couple of days, so it's not like he's been training with the team for the last 6 days. Now, I don't know if that's gospel. That's just what I was led to believe. They weren't signing him for Crystal Palace. They weren't signing him for Forest at the weekend.
No,
they were
and we know Unai Emery doesn't put players in from the start when they're in that position. And you've got to remember that when you sign a player from the South America or a lot of parts outside Europe, you now have to wait for a work permit. That sometimes isn't done straight away. It has to be done when you arrive in the country. So that hearing probably would have been Friday after he signed, I would imagine.
I would imagine so, yeah.
And then they would have to rule over it, and it takes a few days. So I would doubt he's even trained with the first team at this stage. Yeah, but we just got to be patient with that one.
Yeah, and as I say, if you're expecting Alisson to come in here and tear the world up for 10 million euros as well, it's I don't know what you're expecting, considering what Unai Emery said that he was somebody that wasn't going to be thrown to the wolves straight away. But anyway, that is what it is, and we've got enough good players here. You know, our bench is a lot stronger than their bench. I'm very confident in the bench that we have as well. Also, you know, so we'll roll with the punches there, and we will see what comes of this game, and we'll see what the final what scores at the final whistle. But the big thing for me here, Paddy, is that, you know, this team must be on the crest of a wave, even though they've lost to Arsenal. You know, they could take a lot of positives from that. They could take a lot of solace from that game as well, especially the way they came back. I actually watched that Arsenal game back since the Forest game. Watched the second half anyway, I suppose, really, because first half was tight. Then there was 20 minutes where he conceded 4 goals. But we actually could have scored 3 goals in that game, in that second half. You know, after we went 4-0 down, we could have scored 3 goals. Probably should have scored 3 goals as well. So wasn't all doom and gloom, I think, looking back on that. And then to go away then to Forest and then be as dominant as playing against Forest at home and be as dominant as all hell there. This team must be feeling themselves at the moment still. Yeah,
you'd imagine so. Look, if you're not at the top of your game with a place, possibly second place in the league at your fingertips, then there's something wrong. I expect us to be way up for it much more than we were against Arsenal. And, you know, while Ollie Watkins said the crowd probably weren't up for it, the players definitely were at the weekend. We do have that mistake in us to give away a goal, which does worry me. But I'm going to go for, yes, we will concede, but we will be 3-0 up at the time, and we'll see it out at 3-1. And Ollie Watkins to continue his goal-scoring streak alongside Sancho. And we'll give one to Marlon when he comes on.
I'd like that. I'd have no problem with that. This is, again, as we say, this is a tough game. This, like Yeremy Pino, really, really good player. Brendan Johnson, really, really good player. Mateta always scores against us. Adam Wharton, albeit carrying an injury, still a really good player. 3 centre halves, all of those have actually, Barmargay, Canvo and Lacroix were both linked with Aston Villa over the last 4 years as well. Devaney scored goals against us. I'm fond of Tariq Mitchell. I think that if England wasn't such a, if the English national team wasn't picked more or less by who the papers want them to pick, I think Tariq Mitchell would have got more of a run, more of a look in England squads, because I think he's actually a really good player. But look, so there's nothing bad about their starting 11. The thing that gives me confidence is the way we're playing at the moment as opposed to the way they're playing, and also the fact that we have that bench to be able to come on at 60 minutes, and then usually brings on 2 people at 60, brings another 2 people on at 70, and then maybe brings 1 person on at 85 minutes to see out the game. Bring on those five players to try and keep the impetus going in the second half, and hopefully we can do that, and hopefully we do have the requisite, I suppose, injection of pace and whatever else that we would want from those players that are coming off the bench. You said 3-1, Paddy. I'm not going to be as optimistic as that. I think it's going to be 2-1. I think Villa are going to. I'm hoping Villa are going to win this game 2-1. I said Sancho because why not? And I want Ollie Watkins to score a goal. Ultimately, I don't care who scores. I don't care if Emi Martinez gets all 3 goals in a 2-1 win. I really don't care, as long as we come out of there with 3 points. Because again, and I'm going to say this once more, it is really pivotal. You know, we're looking up the league but we're also still looking back the league. Arsenal play Liverpool. I know that Liverpool are missing X amount of players. That's not a gimme for Arsenal. Man City are playing Brighton. Man City are missing a lot of players. That's not a gimme on Man City. So while we can look in both directions, I think we should do. And a win tonight is really what we should be looking for, obviously, regardless of style points and regardless of who we want to score and who we don't want to score, as long as we get those goals and get that win tonight in a place that's been inhospitable to us. I think I looked up the statistics today. We've lost 5 of the last 6 times that we've played against Palace. So let's go and put that right tonight. And let's prove that we should be in, hopefully, outright second place after tonight if Man City don't do the business against Brighton. That would be fantastic.
I wouldn't be putting too much money on them not doing that either. But look, you're correct in what you say. Keep your eye on what's coming behind you. Get the scores on the board. I don't care if this is 7-6 once we're on the on the other side of it. It's going to be a difficult game. It's going to be an important game when we look back at the end of the season. So let's be happy with the current run we've been on, and let's push on now into the next second half of the season and get the job done. Someone asked about the referees. Andy Madley tonight. Andy Badley makes me madly.
Yeah. So
they all make me madly. But look, hopefully he won't have any hand actor part in this tonight. We've seen some questionable stuff happen at the weekend. I haven't had any rants lately, but that stuff that went on with the Liverpool goal, someone seriously has to answer questions. Suddenly a new rule where there's a margin for error.
There's always been a 5 centimeter tolerance. There's always been a 5 centimeter tolerance. I don't know.
But do you remember Conor Horahan's toenail being offside one day?
Yeah.
Do you remember somebody's shirt being offside?
In fairness, I think they did say since the introduction of the automated. No, I could be wrong. Oh, Jesus, I could be wrong. Since it was the semi-automated stuff, but still, it should be the same as Europe. Like, why isn't there standardization? It's like the infernal statistic that we all hear about recently as well.
I'm not going to go on about it any longer.
There's no
But why did
standardization.
semi-automated offside take 5 minutes to make a decision? And it's not semi-automated because somebody else is pressing the buttons. So anyway, there you go.
Anyone want to put in your scores there? And this is, I meant to say it, and once again abridged, these team sheet tantrums during the week. If you guys are regular watchers of the podcast, you'll know that I've got bedtime with my kids here at the moment, so I got to run away in the next 5 minutes or so. If you want to start putting in your scores, this will be a bit more abridged. We will throw you into Statos live stream directly after this as well, and we will be back with a post-match podcast, win, lose or draw. Hopefully, I really hope we're talking about a win here. It seems like it's, again, I know I said this about Forest, but this seems like it's another seminal moment. It feels like it will be one that we would look back on and go, Jesus, we got another leap on Chelsea or United or Liverpool or whoever else. Because let's say, look, I know Liverpool are playing Arsenal. That could be a jump on Liverpool in fourth place again there, so it could be another one of those nights where we get buffer zone FC, get stronger again. So hopefully we can capitalize that in the capital against Crystal Palace. And I see a lot of your scores are jumping in there. We have, where are they gone to? So start off with Adam says 4-1 to Palace. Jordan Levy says 2-1 to West Midlands Village. 3-1 Villa. 2-1 says Sai. 5-0 Villa, says John Steele. John Steele, should I say. Brendan Miller is going 2-1. 2-1, says Tom. Junior is going with 3-0. Dean is going for over 5 goals. James is going for 2-1. PSK is going 2-0 Villa. Kieran Callahan's going 3-1. Debbie's going 2-1. Micah Richards is going 2-1. Carrie, hey, wait a minute. You should be out eating your dinner somewhere, I heard. Caroline is going for 4-2 to Villa. Techno Obliterator is going for 2-2. John Duran is going for 2-1. Michael Huggins going for 3-1. Gaz Hawks is going for 3-1. Black Country Villa is going for 1-0. Jura is going for 2-1. Relearning the Game is going for 2-0. Villa Rocco is going 2-1 Palace. Audrey's going 3-1 Villa. SKJ is going 3-0 to the Villa. The Converted Wife and Cash are going for 2-0 to Villa as well. Premier is going for 3-2. Whisper of the Heart is going for 2-0. Wasif is going for 2-2. 3-0 says PD. Peter Lennon's going for 1-0. 2-1 says Aston Villa Armchair Fan. I don't know. ZE is Winnipeg Walter is going for ZE, whatever that is. Luke Harrison is going for 2-0. Daniel is going for 1-0. And Caroline confirms that their dinner is finished early because there's a match on. Happy birthday to you, Caroline. And Jerry Sheehan is going for 3-1 as well to Aston Villa. So, yeah, listen, look, as I say, obviously, we understand the gravity of this game. It's not a happy hunting ground for us, but optimism is the dish that's best served hot, I think, tonight, specifically with the run that we're on and where we are in the league. And look, can they do it on a cold Wednesday night in London? I'm sure they absolutely can, and we will see. We will know about that in the bones of about 2.5 hours time, roughly about 2.5 hours time later, and we will be back with a post-match podcast to talk to you guys about this win, lose or draw. Anything, Paddy, before we wrap this one up?
No, if you're in there, over 700 or 800 people in there tonight, please do smash the likes. Great to have you in there. Always the way on a midweek game, especially away from home, that people are making their way home from work and logging in. So great to see you all in there. Hoping for a big win tonight, and we will look at a pretty looking table tonight, because no gimme for Man City either, or Chelsea, who have to play Brighton and Fulham respectively. Chelsea, Fulham, interesting.
Yeah, Winnipeg Walter. Do you know what? ZE, all those years ago when I used to work in CAD, that brings back memories. I almost got PTSD shivers down my back from that, from those commands in CAD as well. So I feel your pain. Right. Let's go, guys. We will chat to you again very, very, very soon. Before we go, actually, let me just make sure that we will be throwing you into Stato's watch along, because I think
does he come on this early?
He won't be on this early, but we'll throw you into the queue for it. But I think the last couple actually didn't work, so that's why I want to just make sure that this one does work before we go. Apologies, talk amongst yourselves.
Premier is asking, is the white kit tonight? It absolutely is a white kit, and when I saw it, it made me a little bit more optimistic. And we might see a lot more of the white kit now that there's 2 claret and blue teams in the relegation zone. We might have no claret and blue team in the league next year, other than us.
No wonder it wasn't set up, because I don't think Stato is doing a watch along tonight. So don't mind me. And maybe that's why he hasn't thrown him in the last couple of times, because there doesn't seem to be, it wasn't a watch along for those either. But anyway, don't mind me. We will see you again for the post-match podcast. Stay safe, stay healthy. I gotta go put kids to bed, and all that's left to say is up the Villa.
Up the Villa.